Hello and welcome back to my sewing room. I'm Nicola and this is Stitches and Slapdashery. I live in British Columbia in Canada and it's getting cold. We're finally getting into fall. I wish I could say that means that all the forest fires are out, but they are not. In fact, a new one started on the weekend and it's not far away from us. It's far enough away for me not to be worried about it, but it's big. And it was windy on the weekend, and of course that meant it spread really quickly. And it is pretty close to the town that's just south of us, a little further down the lake, and again, a little bit concerning, especially for the people who are in the way of it if it decides to spread further east. I'll be really glad when all these fires are out. Of course, they say it's human caused, which probably means somebody was driving down the Forest Service road and tossed a cigarette butt out their window. Because yes, people are dumb that way. Happens all the time. Very disappointing. Anyhow, I'm always surprised by how dark it gets so early now. It's dark at 7 o'clock. And it always feels like, oh, well, summer just ended. Why is it so dark so early? But yep, here we go. Darker evenings, which of course is usually appreciated by us yarny types who are really looking forward to getting out our hats and scarves and fingerless mitts and wear them again. And I'm not sorry to put the fleece Hello Kitty pajamas on today. I'm not going to show them to you, but you'll have to take my word for it that that's what I'm wearing on my bottom half, and I love them. So yeah, next it'll be thick socks and thick sweaters, which of course I have plenty of. So that's good. So what have I been doing the last couple of weeks? Well, most of my outside home time has been taken up with volunteering for a particular event that's coming up this weekend. It's Veg Fest. And I decided to volunteer to help round up gift baskets or donations to the goodie bags or any in-kind donations that local businesses were willing to give to us to help raise money. So this is going to be a big event. There's going to be all sorts of vendors, plant-based vendors and activities for kids and all that sort of thing. And there'll be a silent auction. All the proceeds will be going to an animal sanctuary and a charity that teaches kids how to cook healthy meals. So I'm going to be busy this weekend, but that's okay. So of course I had to make something for it because I wanted to contribute something myself apart from just my time. So the first thing I'll show you today is a little stack of bags that I made. Of course, I decided to use a vegetable print. Well, peppers are really a fruit, aren't they? But you know what I mean. I made 25 of them. I seem to be good at committing myself to making a lot of one thing and then regretting it later. I didn't promise these to anybody. Nobody else knows I've made them, so it's not like they're expecting them or anything. But 25 are the same thing. Chain piecing is great. And unlike the last batch of drawstring bags that I made for somebody else, I lined these. So these have a plain red lining. They're not very big. But this quilt cotton is pretty damn expensive. I think it was at least $28 a meter, less the discount, but still, it's not cheap. And the cords that I used, a lot of these cords I had in my stash anyway. And I had bought them months and months ago, knowing that I'd use them for something. They were probably on sale at like 60% off or something like that. I did supplement with some plain red. So I used the plain red first, and then I used the other colors that coordinated kind of well with the peppers. And in the end, I had to use my blue and pink. And I know the blue and pink doesn't exactly go, but that's what I had. And I didn't want to go out and buy more. So yeah, I'm really pleased with those. It mostly came out well. I love lined bags because any oopsies are usually hidden inside, and all the raw edges are hidden inside as well. So they usually look good. Those will all go into the goodie bags that will be given out to the first 100 people on Sunday morning. I hope the sound quality is good today. A very lovely friend of mine gave me a microphone set. You get 2 little microphones and you get the little doohickey that plugs into the end of your phone. And it just means that I don't have to kind of throw my voice to the phone, which is like 3 feet away from me. And usually it's not an issue, but every now and again I sort of mumble a bit. And so if I mumble, it'll be right into the microphone. So you should actually hear me really well. I have to be careful what I say. So thanks to my friend. Hopefully the sound quality will be awesome today. All right. One thing I realize I don't think I ever say on this vlog is I never say where you can find me on places like Ravelry. I've been on Ravelry probably almost since the beginning, in the days when you had to be invited to join. And so that was what, 2007, 2008. And ever since then, I've always been nicolaknits. Makes sense, right? Easy to remember, pretty obvious, nicolaknits. Of course, I don't just knit, I crochet and I sew and everything, but that's what I started with. And I also have a blog and it's called nicolaknits.com. It started out as a free Blogger blog originally. I was on Blogger. And then I changed over to WordPress and now I'm paying for the domain name. So that's my domain name. And I was wondering whether to change it to Stitches and Slapdashery, but I figure I'll leave it as it is for now because it's going to take up more brain space than I want to give it at the moment. So I'm just going to leave it at nicolaknits. It'll be easy for you to find it if you look me up there. To be honest, my blog has been a little neglected since I've been making vlogs. I do occasionally post there still, just to keep the few readers that I have over there from thinking that I've died. Still alive, still kicking. Okay, so seeing as I already started on the subject of sewing, we'll carry on with sewing. So my friends and I had an awesome day last Wednesday. We had a bring your sewing machine to Nicola's house day and let's make bags. So this was a belated birthday event for my birthday. We decided way back about 3 months ago when we had our last sewing day for somebody else's birthday that we were going to have another one around the time of my birthday, and it did get pushed a bit late, but it still happened and it was fun. And we always have a lot of laughs and we have some good food and we make something fun. We always like to have a project, like a group project to work on. And they surprised me with this one because I didn't really know what the plans were. I had said, you know, I've got a quilt to work on, I could do that, or I've got a sweater I want to make, I could do that. But they said, no, we have plans. We know what we're going to make. And so what happened was one of the ladies used to be a home ec teacher. She is a retired home ec teacher, and she brought along the instructions for a Japanese knot bag. I have made one of these, but it was a really long time ago. So I'm afraid I can't tell you what the source for this was because she brought us some pattern templates to trace on, but I don't know what the name of the designer is. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube for these sorts of things. A lot. I made the medium first. So this is the medium one. And it's a really cute print. It's just a flat bag. There's no shaping to it or anything. And what you do to carry it is you push the long handle through the short one. See, as simple as that. These are actually quite fun if you've got a knitting or crochet project out and about with you. Or, and this is something I have done before, if you're walking around your neighborhood getting a bit of exercise and fresh air and you just can't bear to not be crocheting, you can put your crochet in there, stick this over your wrist, and you can carry on crocheting while you're walking. You just have to be careful not to trip on anything. I've managed it a few times. Now, I wasn't crazy about the construction for this bag because you get everything done beautifully, and then the last step is to fold in, hang on, which edge was it? I think it was the outside edge, the armhole edge. So you're folding this edge in and this edge in and sewing it down around the outside. So it's not sewn right sides together for that last step. And let's just say it got a bit messy. I think I did one of these little bottom corner parts about 3 times because it just was not catching on both sides. And then because I'm a glutton for punishment, I made another one, but this one's smaller and cuter. And this is a really lovely fabric. Just got little foxes on it and toadstools. And I've had it in the stash probably for years. And then the lining fabric was a swirly sort of pattern that I had bought a ton of when it went on clearance when I was working at the fabric store. And I bought it in quite a few different colors, and it's actually been really useful for things like bag linings. So that's that. 2 little Japanese knot bags. No idea where they're going to end up. I have enough of my bags to use, but then I don't know if they're nice enough to gift. I say that every time. Like, are they good enough to give to somebody? I don't know. They're not exactly the neatest ones. But I suppose I could use them as gift wrapping for a different kind of gift on the inside. So maybe I'll do that. There's an idea. So a little while back, I don't think I mentioned on the last vlog, but a friend of mine called me and said she had got hold of a ton of crafty things. She lives in a 45 plus community, and someone's wife had died 5 years ago, and he was finally clearing out all her crafting supplies. And so she had obviously asked a few people around that she knew if they wanted to go through it. And of course, I jumped at the opportunity, and I was the first one to go over there and say, okay, I'm going to root through this stuff. There might be something in here I can use. So I ended up with quite a bit of new fabric, as if I needed more fabric in the stash. But there was some useful stuff in there. There were some bits of fleece, there were some bits of flannelette, tiny bit of quilt cotton, but not much. Some felt squares, some buttons, a whole bunch of different things that I thought, okay, I can use that. So of course I bring home 2 big blue bags of stuff, plus some various boxes and things like that. And I'm looking at it thinking, where am I going to put it all? So what I ended up doing is, before I even unpacked all that stuff, I came into my sewing room and I went through everything I already had. The main messy area is the chenilles and fleeces that I have. There were so many scraps. And so what I did was I went through all of those and I pulled out a lot of small pieces and things that I didn't really like anymore and I didn't think I'd use, and anything else. There was some fabric in my drawer over there. There was a green embroidered sequiny thing. And I remember when the fabric store moved from one town to another. This was long before I was working for them. They moved from one town to another and they had a massive sale, and I had bought this green sequiny fabric at 75% off, and I thought, oh, I'll buy lots of it. I don't know what I was thinking. So I know for sure that that stuff was in my stash for 9 years. And all I have done with it so far, I did use a piece of it as a Christmas tablecloth once. And I've got a cardboard box full of dressmaking patterns that I have wrapped with that fabric. I'm looking at it right now over there. And I kept that bit, but the rest of it, it was like, I haven't used it in 9 years. I haven't sewn anything with it in 9 years. Get rid of it. I like to have that sort of feeling that if something is going to come in, that something is going to go out, because otherwise there'd be no room to move in here. So that's what I did. And I put 2 big bags of scraps on Facebook Marketplace, and somebody thankfully took them all away. And my sewing room looks a lot tidier for it. So the nice thing about it was it meant I could sew a few more baby things, because I suddenly had some new flannelette. I made another bib with cute little giraffes on it. And I made a receiving blanket. It's just a square, or maybe a rectangle, with a Canadian print on it. Which will be rather fun, because my niece will definitely appreciate that, because she'll be able to use that for her new baby, and it'll be like a Canadian souvenir. And then I also made a burp cloth out of a flannelette piece on this side, which just says baby, good night baby, and so on, and it has toweling on the back. There was quite a pile of that white toweling. There was a lot of it. It was great. So I haven't used all of it by any means. So I'm going to have lots more to do other stuff with. So that was awesome. The other sewing project I've got is in a heap on the floor. It's huge. It's 6 feet square. It's the quilt that I mentioned last time. In my last vlog, I did a really crappy piece of little upright video where I had put all my quilt blocks on the wall. I have now a piece of batting on my wall, my only spare piece of wall over there. It's covering up my dry erase board, but that's fine because I barely ever use it. So I had put all the 4-patch squares on the wall just so that I can get an idea of what they looked like. And I had taken a picture of them and changed it to grayscale to see if I was happy with the arrangement. Well, I wasn't, but that doesn't matter. Of course, as always happens with scrap projects, what then happens is you have to buy more fabric to finish the scrap project, right? Yeah. So I made all these 4-patch blocks out of my stash. And as I said, this was for someone who had suffered a loss as a result of the big forest fire not long ago. And so I didn't want to use any reds and oranges. So I just put in blues, blue-greens, greens, purples, and a bit of yellow. It makes for a very sort of springy looking quilt, and I think it's nice. I had to find a neutral to go in between because every other block is an 8-inch square of neutral, and I was combing through the quilt fabrics at the store thinking, how am I going to find something that goes with everything? In the end, I used something that has sort of a taupey grey dots on it, and it's got a little bit of yellow in it, and it doesn't really go with any of the squares, but at least it's consistent. And then the back is a rather cool bird print, so I'm pleased with that. So I'm going to try and wrestle it into shot. I've taken a little bit of video of it laid out upstairs, and I'm going to see what I can do to show you it here somehow. All right. So the neutral that I used was this one. Yeah. Here we go. There we are. And then I've got 4-patch blocks. As I say, there's some purple in it, there's some green in it, some blues, And then, oh, there's so much of it. So I think I mostly got the 4 patches aligned so that you get the sort of effect of a diagonal line of the darker squares across the quilt. Well, I just checked my microphone and the little green light wasn't on anymore, so I really hope that it didn't stop working partway through all that. Then I'm going to have to re-record it all, aren't I? Well, this is super disappointing, but my microphone did cut out, and I went to upload the second part of my vlog and there's no sound on it. It cut out and I didn't realize. I'm obviously going to have to keep checking. The little green light is on. I know every time I touch it, it makes a weird noise. I realized that when I was watching that last segment back again. And I'm going to have to be really careful not to whack the microphone so that you guys don't get deafened. So I'm just going to have to try and remember what I said for the second 20 minutes of my vlog. So yeah, we'll keep checking that green light. So what I already talked about, and I'm going to have to talk about all over again, is my crochet cardigan. Let me double check this thing again. Okay. Cross fingers. This cardigan took me all of 4 days to crochet. Fantastic. I love it. As someone who loves a finished object, 4-day project really suits me. So this yarn was the Wendy Husky in the color Peak, I think. It'll be on my Ravelry project page. And it's super cozy and fairly cropped. The sleeves are just sort of a normal length, not too long, not too short. I mostly followed the pattern. Michelle of Dora has some really good patterns, and the Any Yarn Will Do sweater and the Any Yarn Will Do cardigan have multiple yarn weights, multiple sizes. You can pretty much make any size from it. It helps to have a little bit of a knowledge about adjusting things as you go. They're top down, so you can try it on as you go and make sure that it's doing what it needs to be doing. I didn't do any fancy edging on the cuff and the bottom. I just did a round of single crochet. And the front band I also did slightly differently. I added quite a wide front band. Didn't bother with buttons and buttonholes. But I was also having to be fairly mindful that my yarn didn't run out. And in the end, it did not. I had enough left to crochet a beanie that matched. And I just made this up as I went along. It's the same stitch, extended single crochet. Started at the top, increased till it was the right diameter, worked down straight, and then how did I finish it off? It was a couple of weeks ago now. I can't even remember how I finished off that last round. It looks like I just stopped when it was big enough. Yeah, that was it. And because one of the things I like to do when I'm between projects and I don't have anything else on the go, particularly, is make hats. I made 2 more hats. What did I do with them? I already talked about all this, so now I'm going to have to remember what I talked about. So annoying. Okay, still green. Technology. When it works, it's great. When it lets you down, not so good. So I made a crazy bright beanie, top down. This is just a Banat acrylic on the black, and then the neon pink is Michael's own Craft Smart brand. Again, 100% acrylic. This will be a donate beanie. I'm not keeping it for myself. It was just a time filler. And then I made another crazy bright one out of again, the Banat acrylic and the neon yellow in the Craft Smart. Did that as a spiral. So what I'm intending to do in the near future is I will do a tutorial video on how to crochet a beanie without a pattern, because they're so easy. Basic beanie is super easy. You start at the top. So I'm going to give you hints in that video about how to make it the right size and different kinds of customizations you can do as you go. I've made notes. I haven't actually started filming it yet, but that will be coming up in the not too distant future. Now, what else was I talking about before? Oh, yes. This pattern. Hang on, I'm going to check it again. So you'll recall this pattern that I've made 3 times now. Don't think I ever showed you the original version I made, because that was years ago. Not very exciting. And the 2 recent ones were made in that really, really chunky chenille with the fleecy lining. And I wanted to make another one at some point, but had no specific plans until I saw this fabric. It's just a regular fleece, and it's printed to look like a granny square blanket. How awesome is that? So, of course, I had to get some, and I'm going to make myself another of those sweaters, and I have enough of this to also make a matching toque. So I'll be able to keep my head warm, because I can tell you, when your hair's this short, you get colder quicker. It's grown quite a bit, actually. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was if you're thinking about starting your own channel. I've only been at this maybe, a couple of months. And I just want to say, if you want to do it, just dive in and do it. There's a few things I've learned that I can share with you to maybe help you get started and avoid some pitfalls. One of them is obviously this microphone. You obviously got to check that it's actually working on a regular basis, because otherwise you can talk for 25 minutes and you've got to basically throw it all away and redo it. That's no fun. So all I'm using is my phone. I just have an Android phone, and I'm just using the camera app that came with the phone. One thing I have learned: when you upload videos to YouTube from the app you're using to do the editing, which I'll talk about in a minute, it carries on processing after you've uploaded it. So you edit your video, you export it. You need to have the YouTube Studio app on your phone as well. And then it'll tell you when it's ready to watch. The trouble is, when it's ready to watch, it's still processing. It's actually still going from like a lower resolution to a higher resolution. I want it to be at 1080p, but when it first goes up on YouTube, it's not actually at 1080p. And it took me a while to realize that. I would go to my TV. I've got a large TV, and I thought, if it looks good on there, then I'm happy. Sounds good, great. And it was looking really crappy, the only word for it. And one of my IT guys, aka my sons, he said, carries on processing after you've uploaded it. So what I'm going to do in future is I'm going to upload it to YouTube, but I'll leave it as unlisted. And then maybe after an hour or so, I'll make it public. And then what I'm hoping is that that will alleviate that problem. So that's something to think about. You need a video editor, and I'm just using one called Vivavideo, and I'm not sponsored in any way, but it's a really reasonable price. I did a week's free trial, gave it a go, and it's only $16.99 a year, I think, which is, to me, really cheap. And it does everything I need to do. Once the video is recorded, I upload it into Vivavideo, and I can do things like speed things up, slow things down, add a bit of music, cut things out, because there's actually a lot to cut out. because every few minutes I'll say something wrong or run out of words, or it just comes out wrong anyway, and you've got to kind of chop a bit out. And it's really easy with this app. I can do it all on my phone. I never use a computer anymore. Ever since I got this phone, my old laptop just got tucked away and forgotten about. This phone does everything I need. It's great. So give it a try. I also have Canva on my phone, but I'm not using that for videos. I just use it for stills. So if I want to do a bit of artwork, I think on some of my videos I've included a little doohickey on the end, which says Stitches and Slapdashery, and has a little dress form, mannequin-y thing, and some flowers on it. I did that in Canva. And it took me a while to figure out how to size that right for the video. But anyway, got there in the end. And it's fun to play with. But I didn't want to pay for the premium version of Canva. I just have the free version. So Vivavideo works for me. And I got myself a ring light right at the beginning. I got myself a light because, well, the lighting here is terrible. I mean, I've got the overhead here, and you can probably see there's shadows and all sorts of stuff. But the ring light gives you a fairly good level of light. You can choose a sort of a more blue light or a more yellow light, and brighter or less bright. I'm going to check my microphone again here. Phew, still green. And it's on a tripod, and it has a holder in the middle for your phone. So the phone just sits right in the middle of the light, which is good. And it came with a little remote control so that you can just switch it on and off from where you're sitting instead of reaching over. And, well, I say you can do that. It doesn't always work. I don't know. Sometimes it decides not to do it, and I have to kind of do it manually. But we do our best, right? So with the lighting and the sound, I know how important those are. Sometimes I've been watching people's YouTube videos, and you're distracted from what they're saying by the fact that you can't see them properly or you can't hear them properly. And if I have to turn the sound on my TV up to 60 in order to even struggle to hear that person, when I can normally watch a movie at 15, then it's just not going to happen. So that's why I thought it was great that I had this microphone today, because I thought it was going to improve my sound quality. However, I'm obviously going to have to be mindful of the fact that I might decide to cut out. It comes with 2 microphones. I'm using the second one now. I don't know what sort of batteries these have in them. I guess I'm going to have to charge both of them before my next vlog, because it could well be that they came out of the box with a low charge. So I don't know. But what I would say is, if you want to make videos, make them. I had some good advice from Ali at Little Drops of Wonderful, and just some cheerleading, right? It's all I really needed. Just needed to be told, just do it. It's fun. You'll have fun with it. And Kate at the Last Homely House, I had some good advice from her on Patreon. She does a Q&A session once a month, and I had put a question, how do you get started? She basically just said, make a few videos that you actually make a few videos that you have no intention of publishing, just to practice. And in the end, I think maybe I did one, and then I thought, okay, I'm ready. I'm just going to do it. So I did. And I know my videos aren't perfect. I know my editing isn't perfect, but you know what? It fits with a slapdash theme, doesn't it? So anyway, I'm going to try not to waffle on so long this time, because it's getting late now, and I have to still edit this and upload it. So I'm going to leave it there. Few technical hitches today, but I'll know for next time. And I just want to say thanks for watching. And if you made it to the end, well done. And I will see you next time with, I don't know what. Oh, yes, I'll see you next time, hopefully with a finished granny square fleece sweater and some progress on the green knitted sweater, and who knows what else. I really don't plan everything that I'm going to be making ahead of time. Sometimes it's just some need or desire pops up and I have to scratch that itch. I'd love for you to leave a comment to let me know what you're making and whether you enjoy this time of year as well with the change in the weather. Of course, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it may be getting hotter, in which case maybe yarn is the last thing from your mind. Anyway, have a wonderful week or two, and I'll see you next time. Bye.